for your paper. Writing strategies, submission and resubmission, the do's and the don'ts of manuscript submission, the review process, and then ethical issues in publishing, which probably should be the first one in terms of importance. Now, since Marco couldn't make it here, I just give you two examples, and that's why I said 8 years. Now, these are two papers. I am author, I a co-author, and it took 9 years of research to have this paper published. 9 years. I have my first draft of the protocol saved in my laptop in November 2002 for both studies, and they were published in 2011. Now, what makes the difference between this one, who was published in a journal that has now 176 impact factor points, and this one that has 17? There are differences that will put you here or here, and this course will guide you through that. And we'll guide you through the fact as well that it doesn't mean that this paper is better, this study is better than this one. No way. To my knowledge, to my judgment, and I'm the senior author of both, this is not true. To me, they are equally good, but this one made 170, and this one made 17. But by the way, this has been cited twice as much as this one, so I mean, probably out there someone equalized the quality of the two papers. And I am sure that will happen to you something that has happened to this. This is a paper recently published. The journal has 50 points impact factor, and I'm absolutely proud that the first, the second, and the third author were some years ago PhD students like you, were young faces staring at old faces like mine. And actually, the fifth, which is Pietro Ferrara, is here, and he just discussed his thesis earlier this year, in February. So maybe you don't take so long to get to this point of achievement. And I'm sure that courses like this, interdisciplinary courses, are absolutely fundamental because they will open your mind. And the human mind is like a parachute. It works if it is open. So I give the floor back to Luisa for interdisciplinary path.
So you get on, open our mind with interdisciplinary paths that is a strong focus on philosophical issues. There are 3 main topics: freedom of research and public use of reason, this is the first course, developing critical thinking through 4 philosophical approaches, reading the world through gendered lens, methodological reflection, and scientific method, the fundamental concept from Edoardo Datteri. So, the first course, freedom of research and public use of reason, from Mario Vergani, Claudia Baracchi, Giorgio Bertolotti, Marco Vanzulli, is a cycle of lectures designed as an exercise of critical thinking that improve reflexive and argumentative abilities. And we'll answer these questions. Which social and institutional conditions affect research practices? Social and institutional conditions. What effects in the political sphere and in the context of public communication does the exercise of different research practices have to deal with? So here we open our mind and our research questions and projects, and open the mesosystem and in the macro system in a social and political spheres, main issues. The seminar provides some philosophical approaches to analyze in depth this classical subject. Each lecture will start with a brief presentation of some fundamental theses and models of analysis of the topic, followed by a discussion. The second course is reading the world through gendered lens, and is a methodological reflections from Sveva Magaraggia, Laura Formenti, Costanza Nardocci, and Mauro Ferraresi. This course is structured in 6 seminars, the issues of gender from a plurality of approaches and points of view. The first seminar will be on about the concept of gender, its origins and changes in time, as well as its implication in relation to cultural, social, and political analysis. Feminist research methods will be presented and discussed through the seminar. So the main concepts and the feminist research methods. The second seminar, the transformative quality of feminist critical dialogic pedagogies and pedagogy of disconf difference from the point of view of adult education, identity building and practical theory and learning, both in formal and in informal context. This third seminar will be about the development of legislation in the field of equality between men and women, with specific focus on the constitutional principles and to their interpretation in the constitutional jurisprudence, and in the case law of the lower courts. So equality and law. The fourth seminar is on social linguistic and methodological tools to better understand social media using a gender register. And the fifth, some data showing gender-driven economic inequality, discuss its causes, and remark how this inequality imposes large economic costs, undermines productivity, and weight on growth. So you can see there are a plurality of points of view, plurality of perspective, the analysis of the genders, big questions. And the last seminar is a short introduction to phenomenology and its application to gender, show the concept of sex and gender, provides light of phenomenological concept, physical body, living body, body schema, body image, ownership and agency. So at the end of this course, PhD students should be able to approach some controversial issues, of course, gender balancing in decision-making positions, LGBTQ, civil partnership, to have an insight on feminist research methods, and to understand the limits of the principle of equality and non-discrimination. So for this course, please, Edoardo is a professor of scientific method, fundamental concept.
Okay, still me, sorry for that. So this is the right title, actually. So in this case, the title is consistent with the content. So scientific method, the fundamental concepts, and okay, this is the slide. It is basically an introduction to the philosophy of science for those students who want to take a step back and try to reflect on whether they are really contributing to the growth of scientific knowledge. So it is just a short introduction, actually, in which, however, we will touch and tackle the most important philosophical problems concerning the structure of science. You know, the philosophy of science is the study of how science works. from a rational point of view, from a logical point of view, in a sense. So, quite provocatively, we will start with a discussion about probably the most fundamental problem in the philosophy of science, which concerns the nature of science. So what is science? You may recall from the high school Popper and so the demarcation problem. So what distinguishes science from other forms of knowledge, which are maybe equally important, but different in nature from science? So what is science as opposed to non-science, pseudoscience, bad science? This will be our first topic. The second lesson will be about the complicated relationship that holds between theory and experiments, theory and observation. We will reflect a lot on the fact that data are loaded with theory, are imbued with theory, are theory-laden, okay? So the relationship between data and theory is quite complicated and intricate. And the third lesson will be about probably one of the most fundamental concepts in science, which is the concept of scientific explanation. So what does it mean to explain something in the scientific sense, okay? So what does it mean to really understand and explain something? Not just to describe something, but to explain why something has happened. And the fourth and final lesson will be devoted to a concept which is very, very important nowadays, which is the concept of objectivity. We are told that we must be objective in our scientific research. We must rely on data and not on speculations and the like. So we will try to understand what does it mean. And so what does it mean to be objective as opposed to subjective in a sense? So what does it mean to pursue objectivity? So we will go through some versions, some concepts, some notions of scientific objectivity also over time. So it will be an 8 hours course, 1 credit in May 2023. There will be no prerequisites. I know that it is a topic that is probably, hopefully, quite interesting for us, but you may not have all the necessary prerequisites to go too much into details on this question. So it will be a basic introduction, but very much connected with your activity. Actually, the lessons will be highly interactive, okay? So at each lesson, I will provide a framework, okay, an introduction to the topic of the day, and then I will try to embark upon a discussion with you, relying on your experience, on your scientific field and the like. Every year, the discussion is very much intense and interesting. One student that attended the course last year now is writing an article in Philosophy of Science. I'm very happy, very much. And so it is highly engaging, I can say. In each lesson, we will actually end each lesson reading a part of an important article in Philosophy of Science, an historical article on Philosophy of Science. So, okay, the last line is that this course is open to hard and soft PhD students, whatever this means, of course. We will question actually this distinction between hard and soft sciences. Anyway, I think that is pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eduardo. So we can move to the sixth and final group of courses, okay? This is the last one, but not the least important. This is related to green competencies. Sorry, I was doing the same mistake as before. So, we know that we are in the urgence of an energetic and environmental transition, so this group of courses give you the competencies related to these topics and from different perspectives. We have a first course on Introduction to the Multidisciplinary Aspects of Sustainability. A second one, the concept of sustainability through the lens of historical sciences, so a quite different perspective with respect to a hard science one. You also have a course that deals with the cultural aspects of the climate crisis. the meanings, denials, and desires of environmental relatedness. A course on the basic of bio-based processes and biorefineries, and a course that is about the realization of the green transition that will be explained soon by Heiko Lange, who is here. So the first course, Introduction to the Multidisciplinary Aspect of Sustainability, gives you 2 credits after 16 hours lectures, is given by Emilio Padoa-Schioppa, Matteo Colleoni, Patrizia Stecca, and Elisabetta Bifi, so quite a multidisciplinary panel. And the aim of this course is to provide you with a transdisciplinary introduction to the concept of sustainability. Here on the left you have the 3 pillars of sustainability, the social, environmental, and economic pillars. But these pillars actually bend one against the other, okay? They have some intersection, make the structure more stable, actually. So it is more the topic of the course, what you see on the left side of this slide. On the right side, sorry. So we will touch in this course the concept of sustainability, the Anthropocene epoch. We live in the Anthropocene. Different scientific approach to sustainability, from the thermodynamics to ecological approach. Some hints on ecosystem services and ecological footprint evaluation. What is sustainability according to social sciences? What is promotion of sustainability through behavioral intervention? We will talk about social justice and social inclusion related to sustainability. And, okay, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. And the unsustainable consequences of current urbanization and transport system. So we will have a short discussion of students to organize really different papers about this theme, and we present some outputs. The course is process-oriented and interactive. You can find all the relevant information on the syllabus. And here is the second course, again given by Emilio Padoa-Schioppa. This is shorter, 12 hours. This is a laboratory course, 1 credit. It deals with the concept of sustainability through the lens of historical sciences. So we talk about the concept and theory of sustainability, the Earth system and history. What is the natural history, the environmental history, the ecological history, the differences? What are different timescales for geological, biological, and human processes? And so more detail focus on the Anthropocene epoch. Starting from the ecological history of Europe, going to some hints to the past to guide our future. We will have discussion with students. We will have hands-on reading of manuscripts and reports, term papers, which depends on the class size, okay? This is open to any PhD students. It doesn't matter if you have a specific knowledge or skills on sustainability. Just what is important is that you are interested in understanding these topics. Then we have a third course on the cultural aspects of the climate crisis, held by Mauro Van Aken, 1 credit, 8 hours lectures. And the starting point of this course is that climate change represents a very cultural and social issue because of their impacts, because of their causes and challenges. So we start here from an anthropological perspective, and we will combine the perspective with tools of the human sciences to analyze the multiple cultural and symbolic aspects of environmental relatedness, and the emotional and unthinkable aspects of the climate crisis. So a totally different approach compared to the previous courses. But this is an interesting approach for anybody, okay? So the target audience is transversal to all PhD students. Then we have two courses that deals with bioraffineries, bio-based processes, and the realization of green transition. This course is held by Paola Branduardi. The title is basically Bio-based Processes and Bioraffineries. And we'll explain the change of the paradigm that is required in our next future, from linear to circular economy. So we'll talk about what is a biomass, what can be considered sustainable, what is a bioraffinery, in how many ways biomass can be valorized in a bioraffinery, what is the cascading principle. We will talk about recycling, upcycling, rethinking, what is behind these terms. All these topics will be also discussed later on by Heiko Lange. So the goals of this course is learning how bio-based processes can favor the transition from linear to circular bioeconomy, help us acquiring the concept of bioraffinery, and which are sustainable resources of the Earth, and will help us learning how bioprocesses can help to match the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and the Green Deal guidelines. What is the target audience? Any PhD student, even with no specific knowledge or skill in biotechnologies principle, okay? But just required to be interested in understanding how bio-based processes can leverage the change of paradigm needed to match sustainable goals. So, Heiko, it's your turn. This is the fifth course of this group, Realizing the Green Transition.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So as Marco just said, so this course is called Realizing the Green Transition because we aim, together with Professor Golina, we aim at giving you, without any specific background, all the overview, what it takes to get this green transition that you've heard of, right, in the news, etc., that we have to manage, how to get it done in an interdisciplinary way, because there is no way that we do it as a chemist, as a physicist, as a biologist, etc., etc. We can look at all these single parts, but at the end of the day, we will only make it work if we see it directly from the beginning in a very, very holistic way. So this course targets basically all aspects. We will discuss, basically we will start from the green chemistry principles, because I'm a chemist, so we start from chemistry, but I will show you immediately how these green chemistry principles relate to every other aspects of our daily life, essentially. After explaining you what it means, we need to make the meet with the sustainability goals. You all know these 17 tiles, right? There are conflicts, as you will immediately see. We cannot have, at the same point, resources for feeding everyone, resources for making biofuel, resources for substituting the plastics, etc., etc. There's no way that this Earth, with the available landmass, can create enough biomass. Okay, so we need to know about the limits. We need to know what it means having enough food or having enough biofuel. There's no way that we get both. So we have to learn to make decisions. We have to be aware that we have not only renewable biomass that we need. In order to become sustainable, we need the computers. We need to run every type of process in the most optimum way. That is not a thing that a human brain can do, so we need the computers. The computers need non-renewable resources like metals, rare earth metals, etc. So we need to learn also how we can eventually manage to do all this with very limited resources. Everything that is read on this slide is not available anymore by the end of this century. So if it's not available anymore in terms of natural resources, we need to recycle. So we enter in the realm of a very, very limited space to move. We are not
free to move, for example, in chemistry, to do whatever we are used to do in these times, but we have a very limited space where we are sustainable and green on the very long run. So then we have to learn about false friends, right? Not everything that is green is sustainable. Not everything that is sustainable is green. So we need to understand what is green, what is sustainable, what are the differences between the two, and do they go hand in hand, or do I have to make hard decisions in order to say, in this sector I want to be green, in that sector I need to be sustainable and cannot be green, okay? There's no way that we make everything always nicely fit. We need to learn how to make that work on a real basis. So how do we need to change our chemical processing, our making of materials, right? If you look around of you, there's nothing natural in this aula. There's not a single piece as it comes from nature. Everything has been manufactured, or we have laid our hands on it in order to make it last longer. So how do we do that in the future? How do we make that work without all the resources that we thought we would have, but that we actually do not have, including energy resources? So we go for different techniques, obviously. We have to completely rethink some processes. And that obviously touches all sectors, not only the chemistry or other natural sciences. We have to get this green transition done in a way that we keep what is working very well. We cannot get rid of all our industrial plants. If we would get rid of all our industrial plants, we lose 30 years until we have built the new plants. We cannot live in our societies without breaking everything in order to get the transition done and taking everyone on board, right? We cannot lose half of the society because they didn't have the chance to learn why it is important to change. So we have to make these changes in a smooth way, in a smooth but quick, with the limited resources, in a sustainable fashion. So you see that immediately we touch, again, all sorts of life, not only the natural sciences. So that is why it is interdisciplinary once more. You heard that there's a course about biorefinery. We will look at biorefineries also in this course, but we will embed them in the whole context. So what type of biorefinery is actually a sustainable biorefinery? I can do biorefinery on every type of biomass, right? The question is, does it make sense? Does it make sense now? Does it make sense in 10 years? Will it make sense in 80 years? Okay, so we will screen the biorefinery sector for identifying those that are useful and those that are more actionism than action, actually, in order to get the things changed. In order to understand better why some things are valuable and others not, we have to look into some details. If we want to base everything on biomass, every one of us has to understand that biomass is not crude oil. There's a huge difference between oil and biomass. Biomass, from an engineering point of view, is a highly optimized composite material, but really highly optimized from a complexity point of view, from a functional point of view. That is something I need to tell you, because otherwise a lot of other things that you read here and do eventually do not make any sense, right? You have to understand that taking a tree and taking it apart in order to get a biofuel is an effort. Much bigger effort than taking oil and distilling it, right? Then obviously once we have the tree taken apart, then we can eventually start making new polymers, new materials, etc., to get more sustainable materials. But obviously, as I already told you guys, biomass is limited. It's not an unlimited resource. It's a renewable resource, but that doesn't mean it's unlimited in a certain amount of time, because trees have to grow, right? So we have to learn to make new materials that last long, that are eventually, at the same time, recyclable without losing the mechanical properties that we like to have. Okay? That is a challenge, as you can imagine. That brings us immediately to the circular economy that you heard before, right? We have to think right from the beginning how to manage to make all the ends meet, which brings us to the green by design concept. If we go to the green by design, which is another keyword that you might have heard already, right? This green by design, it sounds nice, but it's actually very, very difficult from a scientific point of view. And it brings us back to the basic problem. How do I get most out of my biomass? That is, brings us back to the point, how is my biomass actually made? What is my biomass? Which types of biomass can I actually use? Which types of biomass I do not use better? We talk about recycling, because recycling comes in. Because I told you already that there are some resources that are limited. They are not renewable. There's no way that we find more metals somewhere on the earth so that they just grow, right? That is beyond our possibilities. So what we have in terms of metals is what we have. So we need to talk about much more seriously about recycling. If we do the recycling, however, in an old-fashioned way, we are not sustainable. We need to think of new ways of how doing recycling. And then eventually, if we do recycling, as you've already heard, we have the problem of recycling, downcycling, and upcycling. If we constantly do recycling, we end up in a very slow, very, very slow loop of going down, okay? The materials suffer in the recycling. So sooner or later, no recycling is possible. So we have to learn eventually to get into a recycling that is feeding in new materials in a way that we consume the new materials, the last bits of rare earth that we have, in a very, very intelligent and clever way, right? That brings us to the concept that we have to talk about mining. So we have to talk about mining options. Mining is traditional. I go to take the crust of the earth, I take out what I like, right? This mining operations didn't change in the last 50 years. They are still doing the mining as they did 50 years ago. Now, in the last 5 years, people started rethinking, and new mining technologies are emerging using renewable resources. So we use bio-based resources, make them into performance materials, and use them in the mining sector. So you see the transversality also there. Then we have the urban mining, which is another keyword. What does it actually mean, urban mining? What can we get out of urban waste? Can we treat urban waste from each city in the same way, or do we have local differences? And you can imagine what the answer will be, right? Our processes need to be so flexible that we can do an urban mining here, and that we can do an urban mining in the south, and that we can do an urban mining in America and in China, because otherwise we run out of resources. So obviously we have to take in social aspects. How do people live in the various areas of the world, and what does that mean for the waste that we have to recycle? So we have some sociological aspects. And we have to think of the changes that come into play when we think of the business models. We have to do all that without losing the society. So we have to think of business models that fit all the other needs. So we have to rethink business models in the sense that we have to think of eco-innovation, spillover effects, etc. And we cannot look at a single industry, for example, without looking immediately at all the other industries that are touched. Because if I have my company and I want to become sustainable, at the moment I'm risking that in 10 years I do not exist anymore as a company because no one else around me is doing the same thing, right? So that is a basic problem. As you can imagine, it's a very intense course. We cover everything and nothing, and I will give you the backgrounds, and then we end up doing this. Once you know all the different aspects, we make it a little bit, we bring it back together in a single theory, because this life cycle analysis that you will do, especially with Professor Golina, will show you how the different changes that we need to make in order to become sustainable and to get the green transition done impact on the economical viability. And the last aspect that we talk about is exactly this economic viability. Because, as I said already, we cannot lose the society, right? So we need to make it work, we need to have it working while having all these changes being realized, and that's the challenge. So for this course, I do not need any one of you to be a chemist, biologist, etc. What I need from you is that you are aware that the things will change, that you are aware that the things will not change singularity in a singular way, right? We cannot change first the physics and then the chemistry, etc., but we have to change everything together in no time, with other unfavorably changing boundary conditions, right? And that's the point of the course. I want to make you aware of the fact that the world is getting much, much more complex, and that whatever you do as a research is immediately, eventually affecting lots of other areas, not only your area. You become an expert in a certain area, but as you heard also before, probably that has immediate effects on other areas, because what we lost in the last years is the luxury of taking our time to develop the things. We're running out of time a little bit. So we have to do everything together, okay? That will be the aim of the course. As I said, it's very intense. I need you for 8 hours. It will be 2 blocks of 4 hours. We have, if everything goes well, there will be practical parts in it. I cannot tell you the dates yet. It will be in May next year. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Heiko. I would like to attend your course. So, all these different courses of these 6 groups, you can choose whatever you want. Okay, we will see some practical information shortly after. But there is something that you have to do, is mandatory, that is the activity about responsible research and innovation. So we have the doctoral school a training path about these topics. that is addressed to all doctoral students, okay, from the first to the third year, to support you during all the phases of your research, to align your work with the societal needs, okay? So there is a day of training with a macro-disciplinary focus and specific process dimension to learn about key issues of the responsible research and innovation. And for example, ethics, integrity, reproducibility, fair data, also taking account the research projects, your research projects, okay? So these RRI activities are integrated by some in-depth seminars concerning, for example, the ethical aspects connected to artificial intelligence, to public engagement, to science communication, conscious, transparent use of data, and so on. So to conclude, some practical information about all these courses. So how many courses? There are many, you have seen, okay, but how many courses I have to attend, and how can I attend them? So each course provides 1 or 2 credits, okay? And you have to take a minimum of 3 credits of interdisciplinary courses, these courses that we have illustrated today, okay? And these are in addition to the credits of disciplinary courses that are provided by your PhD course, okay? So 3 plus something else. There is no limitation, this is the lower bound. You have to achieve the 3 credits anyway within the PhD hopefully, we recommend during the first 2 years, okay? How to get the credits? Is attending a course enough to obtain the credits or not? No. There is a formal assessment. We don't have scores. There is pass or fail, okay? The assessment can be during the course, in form of exercise, or in a separate form, okay? Attendance, is it mandatory? Yes. You must attend a minimum of 70% of the classes to obtain the credits. If training is based on active learning, and you have no exam, you should attend 100% of the classes, okay? All the courses are held in English. English is the official language of our PhD school. Is enrollment necessary to attend the course? Yes, it is. And the courses are provided in specific time windows that you can find in the learning webpage. Interdisciplinary courses are open to all PhD students upon registration, but the size of the class is limited. Seats are assigned on a first enroll, first served basis, and you have to enroll through the S3 platform. Here is the link. When you read the syllabus, you also can find a number of places that are available, and you have to use the S3 system to enroll. You should register first by entering the Secretary online, and you choose elective courses, and only for the registration, during the registration period specified for each course. The registration will be closed as soon as we achieve the maximum number of participants specified in the syllabus, okay? Once you have registered yourself in the S3 system, no additional registration on the learning platform is required. Courses are in presence, okay? Remote attendance is allowed only for executive PhD students and high-level apprenticeship students. You can send an email to dottorati@unimib.it to inform the offices of your remote attendance. And you can find syllabi and teaching material by accessing the e-learning platform with the university credential. So, how to choose? This is a good opportunity that you have to take. Bear in mind that interdisciplinarity is a chance, but also a challenge. So do not choose too many courses, okay, but not too few. Interact during your choice with your tutor, with your supervisor, with your coordinator, with the other students. Do networking, okay? And put yourself in a good mood towards interdisciplinary perspective. You will see it is worth. And remember to check regularly the offer on the PhD school website. For any question, do not hesitate to ask for information on the PhD school administration, also the president of the PhD school, Professoressa Maria Luce Frezzotti, also the PhD Didactic Committee, Luisa Zecca, myself, and Lorenzo Mantovani, okay? So we are available for any question. So if you have question, it's time for a question, and maybe. Finito.
So, before opening to question, I would like to conclude this morning together, which has been a real pleasure for us. And we hope that we have given you some introductory basic information, but mainly a first in-look on the spirit of our school. As Marco Malusa was saying, we are a school, we are together, we are working for you. So you have our address now, you have seen us, so please interact, contact us for any reason. We are here really to make your scientific growth as sound, as strong as possible. This is our goal. So thank you very much. And I open the morning, this introduction to question. Thank you so much. So if there are any questions concerning didactic or any question that you think it might be of general interest, please. The microphone, wait for the microphone.
Hi, can you just give us a few more details on the assessment of the courses?
We can't hear anything.
Hello? Okay. Can you just give us some more information regarding the assessment of the courses and what's required of the students for the obtaining the credits in the end?
It depends on each specific course, okay? So you will find everything on the e-learning platform, on the syllabus, okay?
Hello, thank you for all the information. And I want to ask a specific question about the courses. These courses are one-time courses during the year. So specifically, I saw the public speaking course that is just closed for registrations. Is there another possibility to attend this course, or it is a one-time course during the year?
Probably it is still has to be open, okay?
It will be reopened?
No. Already? There will be a session 2 or not? Next year.
Next year.
This is something we have to think about. Yeah. I cannot hear.
They said that the deadline was today.
The deadline was today. Okay, we will investigate
Oh,
and think about it. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for all this information. I would just like to ask if there is an elective course, like the interdisciplinary course, which is organized in the time when we have our own courses of the program which we are enrolled in. For instance, I am enrolled in Business for Society, and I have a course in those same dates and same timings, and I also would like to enroll in the other interdisciplinary course. What shall I do in that regard?
Let's say, in order to build your path, check well all the dates, okay? But I think that the most of the flexibility should be provided by the course provided by the specific PhD courses, not the doctoral school. You can imagine these courses we have presented today are for the entire PhD studentship. So what we should do, I think, is try to arrange with the teacher of the disciplinary courses.
Okay, thank
somehow.
you.
Okay.
So I think what I am understanding is that we have to prioritize the
Yes.
the compulsory courses.
Yes, and ask to change some flexibility to the other teachers.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. I would like to know if it is also possible to attend as a listener to some interdisciplinary courses, in addition to the ones that we chose to attend in our study plan. So.
You mean more than 3?
Yeah.
I guess so. This is a minimum.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I will do everything after this presentation, but.
Hello, thank you for today. I would like to ask you about our partnership with foreign institutions. Like when we have to spend a period abroad, I would like to know if we already have a list of university partners that we can check out. And if we don't have a partnership, how long does it take to have a new agreement with them?
For the period abroad?
Yes, because we have to do like 6 months minimum.
You don't need any agreement before, okay? So it is on a personal basis. But if the agreement is required, if you have a PhD, double degree PhD program, that's in that case, yes. Otherwise, things are more simple. You just need to ask the authorization to the teaching board and agree on both sides.
Because I heard that usually it's a bit hectic to get to enter. I mean, it's not so simple and so easy. Like, it's not that we send something, our request, and in 1 month everything is, ready and we can leave and go in, I don't know, Scandinavia or whatever.
I mean, all the requests should be presented in advance for several reasons. Of course, because of the administration burden of the office, but also because maybe you would like to ask for Erasmus grant in addition, and for that you need the authorization of the teaching board in advance. So everything should be planned well in advance. Okay.
Thank you.